All right, guys, we're back. We're here to do Married at First Sight, season 16, episode 22. And I guess we're going to start with Nicole and Chris, where they kind of do like a thing where they're talking to multiple people. So we see Nicole and Chris getting ready to go to a wedding, and then Gina is talking about her getting ready to go do some work thing. And I thought she was going to Arizona for work too. And then she was going to take a day or so afterwards to have fun. So I'm kind of confused on that. But yeah, she's ready to go and take on the next chapter, in her life. So we see Clint and Dom get together, and they've been preparing us for this moment, all season. So she tells him that she's interested in Gil from the other season that we were talking about before. And he encourages her to send a message. And I actually thought that was, a pretty cool scene. Um, yeah, so we'll see, what happens with that as we go on. So Jasmine is being shown an apartment, and Kirsten is with her. And Jasmine is ambivalent about buying a house right now because she really wants to wait until she's married. And I get it. I get it from what her perspective is, and I also get it from people's perspective who thinks that if she has the opportunity to just go ahead and invest, in a home, then she should go ahead and take that opportunity. So this is what I think the exposure to Married at First Sight is going to be able to offer her. Is some insight on maybe that's the way that she feels at the taping. But hopefully, we'll see what other perspectives, she's learned by the time we get to, I want to say, the Where Are They Now episode. But they are changing things so much that I don't know if I can say that. But that's the episode that I anticipate, hearing updated or whatever, information. So yeah, Kirsten is a lot more reticent about jumping back into getting married. Jasmine said, hey, I'm not doing any more multi-year relationships. If you can't figure it out by year one, yeah, cousin, it's deuces. And again, she feels like that now. But a year passes so fast, it's like she should really have a different outlook on time, because according to them, the 8 weeks that they're spending together is so compressed that it actually seems like a lot longer if you would have spread it out into real life. So a year can be like that. You think that, well, it's January, or where we at now? We're in June, or December is, so far away, or next June is so far. It's not as far away as you think. It's really crazy how you look up sometimes. Sometimes it seems like it's going slow, and the next minute it's like, okay, what happened? So, perspective. I did not know how I was going to respond to Shaq's grandmother dying. I had been waiting on it because he had told us about it at the beginning of the episode of the season. So this really makes me question again, Lifetime. I mean, how long are we going? Because it seems to me that when he was sitting there telling us that his grandmother had died, he already knew what his decision was then. So this is insane to me that he knew what his decision was then. And I know Rudy has given me the impression that there was a decision still to be made, but that can't be true. If he's telling you at the beginning of the season, if he's telling you at the beginning of the season that his grandmother died. So yeah, I'm real suspicious of this timeline, Lifetime. I'm gonna figure this out. So anyway, where are we? He's giving a tribute, to his grandmother, and yeah, it hurt because I told y'all how I feel, about my grandmothers. My my dad's mom. They were both different, and they both loved me in different ways. But me and my dad's mom were more active than I was with my mother's mother. But she still had us active, and that's a whole different story time. But anyway, so yeah, I thought that was cool. And Kirsten said that she contacted him, when they told her, which I thought was decent. And we see Nicole and Chris doing their thing. And, I'm thinking about Nicole and Chris. And I think because Shaq wasn't able to film as much, or they didn't have footage, on him, that Nicole and Chris actually had to do more of the heavy lifting this episode. Because when I was loading them up, I'm like, wow, this is a lot of segments, with them. So, I don't know. What do I have here? Trying to read and look and be old and whatever at the same time. Oh, okay. So McKinley and is this one with McKinley and Gina? Or no, it's Aris and McKinley. They're talking. And, my head is about to hurt because McKinley has really gotten on my nerves. I mean, he was already on my nerves with Dom during the honeymoon, child. Look. And now he is just really jumping up and down because you want us to believe that you're buying a house, renting a house. What are you going to Michigan? But you want to hook up with Gina so much so that you're in her DMs. And now, well, I don't know if I want to be in a long-term relationship. And what is it, Mac? See, this is the kind of mess that she sniffed off of you. And this is weak. If I look, and I actually agree with Gina. I think that Mac has more swag than Clint does. But Mac doesn't know what to do with what he has. And he's just incongruent. He's very incongruent, and I see now why him, Eris, and Clint are such buddies. They really do they have more in common than I think that they would really appreciate if they knew what I was looking at. So anyway, I just cannot with Mac. And then even with the whole Dom thing. Yeah, I mean, I agree with her. I was one of the few people who wasn't on her about deciding that she wanted to get divorced from Mac. I wanted her to stick it out, as well. But I wasn't mad at her because she decided that she didn't want to put herself, through that either. But I'm seeing incongruence in her, and I don't appreciate that. So I appreciate what Nicole had to say when she was like, oh, so now you want to talk to Gil. Okay, so why are we talking to Gil? I mean, are you thinking about moving to Houston? Because that actually would have to be on the table. If she and he made some kind of love connection, that would be on the table, Dominique. And she just went up one side of McKinley and came down the other side with just a hypocrite. A hypocrite. So the stuff that, she was right about him, and he didn't want to admit it. And then when he did, yeah, well, I'm just this loser, that doesn't have an apartment, living in the basement. Okay, you needed to have an apartment, McKinley. So this is what I was talking about last time. Stop, well, we'll wait and see. No, this is what happens. So now she wasn't impressed. She wasn't impressed with you, McKinley. I mean, we all have to show up to an interview looking a certain way. You got to show up for the job that you're applying for. What did they say? You got to dress for the job you want, not for the job you got. And I think him, Eris, and Clint went into this experiment very lazy. Oh, well, I don't have to do anything because you're already my wife. That is so stupid. I mean, she doesn't have to understand you, McKinley, when you can't even explain your situation. And your friend, actually, his friend, if y'all go back and you look at him just before the wedding, I think I even have a flashback of that. But She asked him, she said, well, what if she has a problem with you not having an apartment? And he didn't even really take that question seriously. Because when he needed to explain that to Don, he still didn't have an answer. That's bad. And that is no swag, Gina. I mean, Gina is looking at aesthetics. And she needs to look deeper than that. Because this whole back and forth thing that he got going on with Michigan and Nashville is just stupid to me. And it makes me question his decision making skills. And so, yeah, no McKinley. And I spent way more time talking about him than I actually wanted to. So Nicole and Chris go work out. I was proud of Nicole. That girl was doing it. She said, I'm thick. She said, I'm thick, but this is some good thick. We ain't mad at you, Nicole. Chris couldn't keep up with her. And so he's glad that she's interested in trying to do something that he's interested in. So they make a date to do tennis. And the next one is Kirsten telling us about Shaq. And then we got Clint hanging out with his friends in Eris. And Clint sitting up doing his pontification. And so I thought that his friends was like, okay, wait a minute. How long did he try to stay married? 2 months? 2 months. And now he sounds like a sage. Oh my goodness, that was funny. So, yeah, so we look at Chris and Nicole doing the baseball thing. I can't play sports either. So, I really identify, with Nicole and identify with her in so many different ways. She is like a spirit animal. Okay, so then I have them here going furniture shopping. I think that if Nicole was single, she probably would get that chair. But I don't think that she was interested in buying that chair with Chris. So then we have Jasmine on her date. And I don't know how I feel about that. I mean, I am glad that she's out dating. But I don't know how I feel about where she is right now. I haven't worked that out in my mind yet. So I try to have my thoughts solidified by the time I do a video, but I don't. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm glad that, she is in this scene, with somebody who does genuinely seems like, he is interested. And he chastised her about her communication. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. So Kirsten goes to talk to a life coach. Just when I was getting ready to start, feeling something for Kirsten, look, I can't. But I thought that was an interesting conversation. So I encourage y'all to go down and look at that video. Then Clint's going on his date. And for some reason, he asks her what is a deal breaker for her. And then she answers him and says, a redhead. So for people out there that don't know anything about gingers, that's the way they feel about each other. And I didn't need Married at First Sight to know that. So I don't know who Clint has been hanging out with. And I don't know, I'm not even a ginger. And I already heard about that. They do say that. It's like they feel like they're dating their brother or their sister. That's a thing for the Married at First Sight community that never heard, this conversation, before. It is a thing. And because Clint is stupid about it, doesn't mean that what you're hearing is somehow an anomaly. It's not an anomaly, okay? And I thought she was attractive, and I felt Clint, but then I also understood, her at the same time. So we go with Mac and Gina. They're having their first date, and they do the latte, thing. Then they have the coffee, and he's telling her he's going back to Michigan, and she's like, oh, okay, well, I'm still interested in getting to know you, and long distance isn't an issue for me. So if it's not an issue for you, then cool. And then we are at the flower picking. So yeah, the girls are picking the flowers. Jasmine encourages this, and I don't know who decided that they was gonna play football, but they were tossing around the football with one another and catching up. So this is when Jasmine tells them that she doesn't anticipate Duchess and Aries hanging out too much longer, together. And the Kirsten gets on my nerves with her. You think your husband's a dating? Well, I know mine better not be dating because he ain't have time to date me. So if he can't date me, he can't date nobody. Girl, go have a seat. Have a seat. It's this kind of thinking that now has you in the position of being divorced, Kirsten. That kind of thinking has not gotten you what you want out of life. Yet here you are repeating the same nonsense, again. You know that your feelings are hurt because he said no. And now that's the question you really want to ask him, because you repeated back to your friend exactly what he said to you. So you know in your mind why he said that he wanted a divorce. But now you need to reconcile your hurt feelings, and that's where you are. And she did admit that she has a difficult time connecting to her feelings. Girl, why did you come on this show? What is wrong? Ooh. Who does recruiting for Married at First Sight? Because Clint said that he never watched the show. When he met up with Dominique and helped her and encouraged her to reach out to Gil, he said that he didn't know who Gil was because he had never watched the show. Who comes on a show like this that they've never even seen? Are you serious right now? Does that make... Okay, that really makes me concerned about Clint. I am seriously concerned about this man. How could you put yourself on a show that has been on for 15 seasons at that point? 14, 15, whenever they, got them. Are you serious? And you never saw one episode. I don't even know what to do with that. I don't know what to do with that information. That was unsettling when I heard it. And he was like, I never saw it. Yeah. Has no self-awareness. Has none. Sitting there like he does not look ridiculous for being on a show that he's never seen. Okay, I have to move on because, that's going to do something to me. So anyway, so when Don finds out that Mac was leaving, we had to get all that. And he was right. Yeah, she was. She was doing that, Mac. She was. And we have to listen to Clint and Aries talk about the sex that they got, but they can't manage to find a relationship. And he can't manage to find anybody that can stand looking at his red hair long enough to do anything with him other than give him a quick screw. So I don't know, Clint. I'm just sick. I'm sick of them talking about sex. I really am. I don't even know. I got to move on. Okay, Mac. Okay, I said in the video that Mac is as unstable as she was fearing that he was. And I heard his back and forth, his wishy-washiness, and, just his being ridiculous. If your wife has a problem, y'all got a problem. And instead of him trying to figure out, how can I communicate with you, he just went his own MGTOW way. And now he's in this mess. Still making stupid decisions, bouncing around, like he's in a ping pong game or something. So, after party. I wasn't really interested. We all knew that Clint didn't care. And if he did care about Mac and Gina, and then after this mess him and Dom got going on, he really would be, he'd be head hypocrite. he would be the head hypocrite in charge of hypocrisy. So yeah, I assumed that he didn't care. And they all said that they would do Married at First Sight again. I hope that they would never be put on any other reality TV show ever again, because they're just time. They waste your time, and I wouldn't watch it. If I saw them on something else, I wouldn't watch it. So is that it? Is that all I have to say about Married at First Sight? Lord have mercy. Whew. So where am I? Oh, this is at 20 minutes. This is really good. So it's not too long, not too short, and I feel comfortable with that. So asking for prayer. I finished moving all of my stuff out of the old apartment, what I had left over there, and I'm getting ready to settle, with the insurance company. And I need to know the next step, if I'm going to sue, my landlord or not, because we got the fire report and it was an electrical fire. So I don't know what step and what direction, that's going to go in. And so I will ask, for continued prayer and support, in that. And I hope that you guys are doing okay. One thing that Kirsten said that I thought was cute is that she said, I told Jasmine she was going to have a housewarming party. And I actually, was getting ready to have, a housewarming party, as well. Just to thank the Lord and, make hay while the sun, is shining. And just really be thankful for surviving a fire. I mean, it was a lot. I can remember when I found out, and I'm sitting there and everything is in ruins, and I'm like, I didn't even know where I was going to sleep that night. And, I just really appreciate the breath that moves through my body right now, and I wanted to stop and say thank you. Like I said, to the Lord and to, all of the energy, the supportive energy, that's out there to help me, on this journey. So I will talk to you guys on the next video.